light of the Buddhism, it should be respectfully. But Pol Potism back then, for that 3 years and 7 months there, it not worth a damn thing. I will soon say that, but it's not worth. They may get wrong. Well, one day, on the 3rd day of the New Year, I turned my loudspeaker, in like my house here, singing.
That time, I was off school. I was ready for the graduation from high school ceremony, and we was home. We on the break where we about to have the Cambodian New Year.
And then one of the Khmer soldier came over. He said, "Shut it down. You make too much noise. Too lousy."
Word come to us is that we cannot live in our hometown anymore. We got to evacuate it. We got to leave our home. We got to leave our town.
So I said, I'm not bother anybody back then. And I don't recognize him as a Khmer or anything. He's so young. He's maybe 12 years old. Maybe 11 or 12 years old.
The new government coming in, the new regime coming in, did not allow us to live in our hometown anymore. If you against it, they will shoot you, they will kill you.
And he carry I don't know, it's a AK-47 or some sort of big, long gun.
But if you want to be alive, you got to follow whatever the instruction of the new government that took place at that time.
He just came over and said, "Shut it down. It's too loud."
I was young and I scared. I just take, order. Whatever they tell me to do, I do it.
Afraid the gun. I'm not afraid of him, but afraid of the gun. So I turn it down.
We had to get out from our country if we want to be alive. If you want to have a good future, you have to escape because it's a communist. And my family do not want to live under the communist regime.
So he shoot it out. He didn't shoot me, but he shoot at the radio. So no more noise from then.
My name is Ani Din. I am a 21-year-old Cambodian American citizen from Lowell, Massachusetts. All my life, I had been told crazy stories about my family. The stories ranged anywhere from my grandmother being the princess of Cambodia to my aunts being witches. I always thought these were exaggerations, and I never knew what to believe. My life was confusing growing up. A broken family, only getting glimpses of my family's past, never really the full story. I needed to find out who I am, where I truly came from. I knew my parents had a story to tell. I just needed to hear them tell it. Somewhere buried deep in their experiences of the Khmer Rouge was my identity.
All kinds, different kinds of men. You see, this is another kind. It's called Chi Ong Wong. The water.
I always thought my mother was a loving, caring person.
Overnight, keep it overnight, and then I use every time I cook it. It has been over 30
But in the back of my
years
mind,
here in the
I
United
always
States.
questioned if what she told me about my family was the truth.
Water, buy from the market for cooking.
I always thought of my father as a provider. He was a provider. but nothing more. I felt like he was more concerned with drinking and having a great time with his friends than being my father. I honestly don't think he ever wanted to lie to me or my siblings, so he would rather keep things from us instead. I somehow knew that the answers I was looking for were somewhere in their past, in whatever it is they went through during the Khmer Rouge. What really happened to them? How did they meet? How did we get to this point? I knew my father had been through a lot, but he never spoke about any of his experiences. I had no idea what he had endured.
It's not that easy to bring those memory back. To describe how you live day by day, it's terrible. They separated me from my family, from my mother and my father. They put me into a slave camp. I am very starving. I don't have my meat like this now. It's only bone. Back then I was a teenager, but I looked like 75 years old. Back then. And once in a while, I always try to run away from that, and I get caught. The reason I want to run away is I want to see mom. I have only my mom. My dad. The last time I saw my dad is back in 1976. He was the police officer. They just came and asked my dad to come along with them. And I never saw him from there. They just don't understand what they're doing. They torturing people. They don't give you enough food. And they just say, you go to work, you go to work, you go to work. That's all it is. They don't give... There's no heart. I would say, person that have no heart. I seen a person that killed their child to eat. And I seen my own eye. A little child, 6-7 months. She really hungry. That child has no milk to support her. And that's the daughter. And this is, I shouldn't say in the camera, but she tear that child apart. And that true story. She tear that child apart and she bite that leg and arm. Yeah, well, eventually, a couple of days after that, they found out they killed her also. They killed the mother also. But that's how suffer a person hungry for food. And that's just in this little community. With the whole country, and millions of people were dead because of the system, the Khmer Rouge system. I don't know why they created.
I never knew the story of how my parents met. I was told they knew each other before the Khmer Rouge, but how did they ever reunite?
That is, wow, that's a good memory back then. In 1973, we know each other, just hi, hello, there no relationship. I have no love involved with it. She has nothing involved with me.
So we escaped and then we come to live in a refugee camp called Cambodian camp in Thailand.
We meet each other in the refugee camp in Thailand.
My mom introduced to one of her friends, and she by herself with her sister and have a son, and they make arrangement for me to get married.
And I gave her some gift back then. I remember this is the true life. Okay, I gave her some gift like I don't have any money or anything, but I gave her like whatever I had, like a toothbrush and toothpaste and stuff like that. I have freedom, of course. I have freedom to choose
and to reject, to deny. I do have a say for that because my mom did not force me to get married.
It's a poor person in the refugee camp. So whatever I have, I just gave her to her. Like Americans say, from the bottom of my heart. Not $1 million I gave to you, but here's what I had. And she accepted.
But at that time, the time that they think I should get married, because the Thai soldier, they come to the refugee camp, they raped women. So at my time, I'm the only woman left with virgin when I get married. Most of my sister in the community, they were raped and hit and abused by a Thai soldier. So I have that in mind. I live with threat, scare and lose my life and lose my virgin, and one day going to get abused.
I always asked her to go along with me, and yeah, she always. But before she went with me, she always asked her permission from the parents.
7 of them, the same time, they come during that year. So I've been rejected, but come to my husband, I told my mom that I kind of like him. So they arranged our marriage, and we got married in a refugee camp.
My parents knew each other as children, were forcibly separated, survived one of the most devastating events in modern history, and then were miraculously reunited again to be married in a refugee camp in Thailand. If that was the end of their story, it would already be amazing. But they somehow came to America in search for a second chance at life.
Me and Mom, in February, I came to New Hampshire by some sponsor, by church, United Catholic Church or USCC Church, something like that.
My husband and my son, we headed to Franklin, New Hampshire by our sponsorship.
I went to church and I sing in the church. Hallelujah in church. Yeah, I get a good sound, a good voice. So they took me every Sunday. I had no clue what I'm singing, but I do sing in the church.
And we had the opportunity to meet white people. We feel like white people is our God. They help us, they rescue us, so much respect.
We learn how to respect the elder. We learn how to have the Khmer.
I was born again, and I'm so happy that I am here. I enjoy the freedom. I enjoy the job opportunity.
Here, it's very successful. I have an opportunity to go to school. I have an opportunity to raise my family. I can do what I want. Like Americans said, it's a dreamland.
But I had opportunity to work hard, earn education, make a living, raise my children the way I would like it, and no government interfere.
I always dreamed that I want to have a cassette recorder on my shoulder. Put it lousy. What you call right now, I don't make 5-10 years ago, you call boombox, something like that. I just dreamed to have that cassette. I won't call it boombox, but the cassette recorder, turn it loud on my shoulder. I did it. So when I got $600 from USCC in 1982, I bought it $25. Put the battery, 6 battery in. That's a big battery. Turn it on, crank it up. I walk from that store to my house.
Who I am, where I'm coming from, my education and my character, and I did lead my own community. And I'm so thankful for that.
Opportunity that I can earn, that I can do, I can raise. Yes, this country, a second chance, a second life I have. I will not forget it.
It was like my mother lived in a fictitious world, unable to separate her fabrications from her real life. But now, I've come to learn that she lied so much because she was probably trying to force herself to forget all of the horrors she experienced during the Khmer Rouge. I could not believe her courage and her ability to move on with her life. There is so much I can say about my father. It is safe to say that I did not know much about him besides the things I saw with my own eyes. I discovered that he was not the person I thought him to be. I feel guilty for being mad at him during my teenage years. For such a long time, I was angry at my father. I felt he was never there to talk to me when he should have been. I now realize that he couldn't be the father I wanted because he never had a father to look up to as an example. I resented him because he would make his own enjoyment a priority over his family. But he never got to be a teenager. The same years that I took for granted were robbed from him. The feelings I experienced of holding grudges towards my parents for lying or not being there immediately subsided. They put all their differences aside to make a better life for me and my siblings. If they decided to give up on their lives, it would have been understandable. If they were resentful or spiteful, they would be justified, but they're not. They moved on and have let go of their pain. In doing so, they've taught me to do the same. And for that, I am grateful.